Greetings, everybody. Jeffrey Guterman. And it has arrived. It's amazing. It arrived exactly at noon. I had rescheduled the the unboxing, but here I am now. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to make some coffee. And get this going here. This is a very, very big moment for me. Now, I want to tell you, it's light. I mean, it's okay. It's not as strong as heavy as it used to be. But that would be because it's only 405 cards. Now, let me make some coffee. I've had a rough morning waiting for this. Because I just wonder when the hell's it going to get here. And Christ, it came here literally 2 minutes before when they said it would. It was 2 minutes before. So let's get the coffee going. I purposely only had one pot this morning because I wanted to wait. I wanted to have coffee with this. Now it's almost afternoon. I can have maybe 2 cups. But we'll see. Hey, Mark Schucker has arrived. Holy cow. Mark Schucker has arrived. It's a big moment because this is going to take us back in time. This is going to be a time travel that you have never experienced. I hope Kathy Harden can make it. Kathy Harden has arrived. All right, Kathy Harden. I'm so glad to see you. This is what I just said. I don't know if you heard me. Probably, maybe not. You didn't get in. I said, I hope Kathy Harden arrives. It has arrived. And I was waiting like a very patient person. I ripped off the label just so you can't see my address here. Let's open this up. Here it is. There it frickin' is. There's no sound for this. This is a nice pad Nice bubble packing. And in this, I've already, oh, there it is. It's got a nice opening here. The nameless player cards are underneath. Here is the card set. And there's more. This is the, wow. Ballpark effects, ballpark singles, ballpark home runs, NL and AL, super advanced version, clutch hitting. I don't use these, even though I might want to begin using these. And these are super advanced weather effects. You know, there's no night games. Here's the roster now. The National League is the senior circuit. So I will look at that first. Here's the roster, what I intend to do. These are the rosters. And this is the National League. And here's the American League. And there are some players with cards in both leagues. There are players who have both a batter's and a pitcher's card. That's like Ohtani. And here, what is this? Oh, look at this. I get a Strat. Put somewhere fun, take a picture and share on social media. Wow. Oh, I'm gonna do that. It's a, you have Strat, yeah. I'll put that right up here. Here are the nameless players. This is very awesome. These are also in advanced. These are nameless players. In case there's a player, now I can always have a player. If they're not on the roster. Here's the advanced version. Look at that. Oh my, and there's pitchers cards too. These are batting records. And here's pitching records. So these will be, let's just undo these right now. You know, they did not give me frickin' rubber bands. They always give rubber bands. Jesus. Oh, here they are. Yeah. There they are, Kathy, the rubber bands. Now, I have spares anyway. God, am I looking forward to this. I'm just going to wrap these. I'm going to get these going here. And put these there. They'll be like pitchers hitting cards. We'll keep these. The coffee is brewing, Kathy. We will keep these nice. The hell? Okay. We'll keep this too, just so we have the instructions there. We're going to have plenty of time to get into it. Take it nice and slow. Anyway, thank you all for being here. It's, you know, I was going to mention this later, but I'll mention it now. I'm a very, very depressive person, a negative person. It doesn't mean I don't get joy out of life. And I was thinking to myself, isn't it sad that I get so excited about something like this? And it's always a letdown, okay? Even though this is, it's not much of a letdown this time. But it almost takes away from the pleasure that I would get. Now, before we get to the actual player cards, these are the nameless player cards, everybody. And the purpose of these is that if, you know, I use baseball reference, oh, look at this, more advanced information. Plenty of time to look at this. It's a smaller card, you see that? But before we get to the teams, the actual teams, let me make a few preliminary remarks. I've done a bit of research into 1911 and those days in general. This is the dead ball era. And what I've learned is that almost every park, if not every park, I believe, every ballpark was not any of the original ballparks when I was born. There was Polo Grounds, and that they stopped using that for the Giants. They stopped using that after the 58 season. Or was it 57, I think? Maybe it was 58. And so maybe you could consider that one. It was torn down after I was born, but every other park has been long gone. And I've done some research to find out what parks were used. I'll just put this in. There. And we'll put that away in my box, along with the pitcher sitting cards. And if you can see, I've already prepared the box. I've put the National League, I'm not National, the 1969 season, like so. Is the NL East, West, AL East, West. Here are the pitchers' hitting cards. And here are the nameless player cards. And those will be used less, so we'll just keep that right there. Now, I'm going to put this chart away over here. Special file. This is for the 69 replay. Here are our current games. Here was the last game played when the Giants beat the Cardinals 9-2. And by the way, they're within 1.5 now of Atlanta. Perry got the win, his 16th. And here on this side will be 1911. And we'll just put this right here for safekeeping. Let's get some coffee. And we're going to be ready to open these up. I say the sooner the better. And why not? Why not bring a little crowd noise to the situation? Why that? YouTube baseball crowd noise. Now I'm going to keep the roster out, Kathy, because I want to. I'm going to confirm every player. Look at these players. Tris Speaker. Okay, you know of him. Let's get some coffee going. And this is going to go on a while, folks. I did the unboxing. Now we're in the organizing stage. And then finally we'll do an examination stage where we just sit back and enjoy. And I may schedule the first game today. I have it scheduled for tomorrow at 9 a.m. But I may very well do it for today. Let's open this up. It's nicely sealed. Very careful here. Very careful. Look at this, and this is. Let's get these out here. There we go. Beautiful. And we will start with we'll keep these up on the basic side. Let's say these are. Go ahead here with the first sheet, and if we look at the first sheet, you're going to see these are mostly Red Sox. In fact, these are all Red Sox. They're rustlers. You see how they don't have the team name? These are the Boston. Oh, I'm sorry. They are the Red Sox. I'm sorry. These are the Red Sox. Here's some more Red Sox. Sometimes they get cut off. That's 3, 6, 9, 18, 19, 21. So it's possible there's only 21. No, here's 22, 23. See how many Boston has. Looks like 24. That's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 2, 23. There's the 24th. There's the 25th, my Christ. Jesus. We'll get it all sorted out. I think we'll do the counting later. This is somewhat of a time-consuming task, but it's actually, it's very much needed. You know, I got a set back in the early 90s when I was going through a deep depression, thinking of resuming Strat O Matic. And I bought the current set at the time. I don't remember what year it was. And I did not know that Strat O Matic did not unperforate these. They came, I didn't know they came in sheets like this. And I was so disgusted, I didn't even play the game. I said, what the hell has happened to this company? Now I see it's fine. Okay, this is Chicago. That's where you got to be a little bit tricky here. There's Chicago there. Here's Boston. So we're about to, let's get some coffee, you know? And some of you may be watching and saying, well, what the hell is going on here? Well, this is part of the zen of Strat O Matic. We're putting together the first team here, the Red Sox. I don't know if it's alphabetical or what. This is of the American League. Look at Eddie Cacote. He was eventually on the Chicago White Sox by 1919. I have to go look to see how long he played. Look at that, he played for the Red Sox. He was a great pitcher. Not this year, even though his ERA is good. This is it. Oh, Lord. Get that coffee going. That's good coffee, Let's get the Red Sox done. Very, very attractive, just like the other set I have, a very attractive advance card. That's good coffee. There's only 16 teams, 8 in each league. But we like to take our time here and do this the right way. These perforate very nicely. My friend, who's also a Strat O Matic player, when I was a kid, his father owned a company that perforates materials. Things like tickets, you know. Back in the day, I guess it's still true, when you had magazines, actual magazines that had postcards to send in, you could pull it out. It's a very, very important business. You see how beautifully perforated that is? How easy it is to... Oh, glad you wouldn't miss it, Kathy. And I'm thinking I'm gonna play a game. I'm gonna play a game with weed tonight. Maybe 4 o'clock start, we'll see. Usually as a general rule, I play my games with coffee. Weed is also a drug of choice, but I don't use it until about 5 p.m. or so, but I am willing to make an exception. This might beat our first team, the Boston Red Sox. Look at some of the names. Sea Lion Hall. We'll go through these people, and we're going to learn about these people as the season progresses. Let's do a quick count to see if we're missing any. We might have one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's 25. Okay, let's count them. That's 25. Those are the Boston Red Sox. Let's... Oh yeah, Kathy, I know. It's Harold Richmond, or Hal Richmond, I'm sorry. He was the man. And there are the Boston Red Sox. We'll put them over here. Just going to slide them up here. These will be the White Sox. Three, 6, 9, 18, 19, 20. The names are amazing. Whoa, 29? Wait a minute. Christ. Oh, no. That's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. That can't be right. There's 9. Okay, yeah, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Let's just count them, and then we'll unpack them. I didn't do this with the 69 set. Oh yeah, new toys, Ron. Oh, that's good coffee. That's 25 on the White Sox. And that's going to be a sufficient roster because I got the nameless players now. So the Chicago White Sox. And by the way, I already saw Smokey Joe Wood is on the Red Sox. You know, he's an amazing guy. I'll post the interview that was done with him someday. At the end of his life. All these people are dead. And I like looking at some of them from this dead ball era who died. One guy died 2 months after the JFK assassination, so he lived long enough to see that. Oh, here's Big Ed Walsh. He threw a spitter, I believe. 27 and 18. How's that for a record? A lot of starts. 37 starts. He got a decision every goddamn game. 20-30. Actually, he must have come in relief too. Yeah, definitely. These people were unbelievable. Of course, we recognize that this is before the color barrier was broken, and there's a element of racism built into this replay. We do not deny it, we do not ignore it, but it's still very cool. I'm not up on my Negro League history, Negro Baseball League history, but there were multiple leagues. I did see, I think the first year for the Negro National League, it was 1920. A reason I have not gotten the Negro Leagues from Strat O Matic is because they, and I could be wrong if any of you know this, we're doing the Chicago White Sox right now. They don't have leagues. They just have sets of like stars. You know what I'm saying? I'm not into that. Really, I have to have the whole league. I don't think it's as realistic to have people from different years playing against each other, with each other. I mean, you could do it for fun if you like it, but it's not my cup of tea. These Chicago White Sox were not very good. I'm going to have to refamiliar myself with exactly how the standings were. These are a lot of these names you just don't see anymore. Here's Joe Jackson. Shoeless Joe hit .408. Holy cow. Cobb won the title though at .420. Shoeless Joe Jackson. Boy, look at that card. He's even decent against left-handers, but God, against right-handers, he's a killer. God. He hit 7 home runs. It's a lot. I think if you're going to see home runs on pitchers' cards, therefore you're going to see a lot of W's. Okay? He's probably a W, an N. Yeah, he's got N power on both sides. That's a W on the left side. Okay. That's Joe Jackson. And we're going to do, our plan is to do full statistics. And I'll do it very simply. Whoop, there's Cleveland. You see, you got to be careful. Sometimes they get mixed up here. There's Joe Jackson is with Cleveland. He eventually went to the White Sox. Gotta be careful of that. And Napoleon Lajoie, Jesus, Hall of Famer, 365, 2 home runs. He's an N on the right side. Okay. All righty. These are names you just don't see anymore. Let's see if we have 25 White Sox here. And that is 25. The 1911 set has 405 player cards in all. It's more than the 1920 and 1924 sets. That was one factor, but not the only factor. I also, for picking this season, the other factor was I wanted pure dead ball, and that is what this is. Ah, that's good coffee. Okay, let's do the Cleveland. These were the Cleveland Naps, I believe. Got 4 of them here already. They were called the Cleveland Naps, I think after Napoleon Lajoie. Let's see what we got here. 369. That's a little close here on the edge. You see that cut off? See how these cards are cut off pretty close, but it's okay. That's going to be 18. $19, $20, $21, $22, $3, $4, $5, $26, and we'll confirm that. Look, there's Ty Cobb. He's a double A. He might be a triple A one year, if they have that year. Sam Crawford, great player. Let's take these off. Let's take these Cleveland spares. Jim Delante, 339. And I'm glad some of you have decided to join us. So glad. I waited for this. This is what I got so excited about. Hell yeah. It's never as great as how you anticipate. And I'm talking about everything in life. But it's still good. Okay, we'll put these over here. And yeah, it's a time-consuming task, which I'd rather not do alone. You'll see. There. For example, we have a game between Brooklyn and Boston. That's the first game of the season listed. So those are the Boston Rustlers. They eventually became the Boston Braves. They were the Boston Rustlers this season. The Dodgers are technically the Brooklyn Trolley Dodgers. Yes, Ron. Yes, I am. Yes. 1911 replay with full stats. The Brooklyn Dodgers were called the Trolley Dodgers as a nickname. They eventually became the Brooklyn Robins, named after their manager, Bill Robinson, or Wilbert Robinson. And I have several pictures of the stadium, if you want to call it that. It's really a park. For this first game we're playing, Brooklyn at Boston, it's called South End Grounds 3. South End Grounds 3 in Boston. I guess there were 2 before it. And you should see what it looks like. It's very cool. And I even have a picture of Zach Wheat around the same year as this season, who was a left fielder for the Dodgers. He's a well-known, I think he's in the Hall of Fame, I believe. Let's see how many we got on this team. I didn't do it this way before, when I got 69, but I'm actually counting the players in each roster to confirm that we've got all the players. "26 on Cleveland." Well, let's give it a count. It is 26. Look at that, Cy Young. This was toward the end of his career. He was only 3-4 and only had 7 starts. Isn't that cool? So there's 3 players. Three teams. Now we're going to move to the Detroit Tigers. I believe they came in second place. Let me refresh my coffee here. You know, I got to tell you something. To try to play this game, basic or advanced, but especially advanced, from scratch, meaning you have no experience, is not, I don't think it would be easy. I never did it. Why? Because when I was a little kid, when I was 12 years old, my friends had the game, and I would play with them, and they taught me how to play it. Okay? I mean, in vivo. Okay, here come the Tigers now. You know what I'm saying? Now it becomes second nature, a lot of it. A, B, C, you know, on the ground balls, the fly balls. In fact, let me just put this like that. Look at this name, Boss Schmidt. Boss Schmidt. Wow. Of course, Sam Crawford was a great player. And the Yankees were not the Yankees. They were the New York Highlanders. Isn't that something? Here's the Yankees. Roy Hartzell, I've heard of him. Hal Chase, of course. This is like time travel, really. This is about as close as you can get to real time travel. These are the Detroit Tigers. I'm going to assume they came in second place. But I'm going to have to continually be looking back on the season. And I want to thank everybody for hanging out here. This is the official unboxing, organizing, and examining of the 1911 set, which the replay will start today, with a hefty dose of cannabis. I don't think weed was easy to get back in 1911. It did exist, sure, but not like today. I certainly doubt it had the quality of today that you can get from dispensaries in particular. I like dispensaries, I like medical weed because it's regulated. I'm not a big government type of guy. I'm moderate, I'm very conservative fiscally, but I like quality. For example, I like my meat to be inspected, okay? I don't know what just happened. Okay, you want no government? You want less government? Where do you want less government? You want it just to abolish meat inspection? Well, it's part of the excitement. It's Ron. It's part of the Zen attitude. It's part of the Stratitude. And this is I guess this is a sticker, but I'm not going to undo the sticker. I'm going to put it somewhere and tweet it. Certainly not going to. I consider a sticker used up. I guess, you know, a sticker can lose its adhesiveness after a while. But those are usually good for a good time, and if the adhesiveness goes away, I could always just tape it up or something. These are the Detroit Tigers. They played in a place called Bennett Field. These were not stadiums. These were fields, parks. Okay, let's see how many Detroit Tigers we should expect here. Delos Drake. And I started to look at some of the players, and you know what I learned? That a lot of them only played a couple of years, 2, 3, 4 years. Players came and went. Let's check out the Tigers now. That's going to be 26. Here's Wild Bill Donovan. And of course the famous Davy Jones. I gotta start over. We'll have plenty of time to examine these people. That's 26 it is, and we'll put Tyrus Raymond on top. This was the heart of his career. He hit .420. 127 RBIs, 47 doubles, 24 triples, and he even had 8 home runs, and he stole 83 bases. He's a 1-17 running. A bunter. So we've done four of the 8 American League teams. So we're about a quarter done, but who wants this to end? Christ. Oh, that's good coffee. We're going to move to the New York Highlanders. Looks like they have 25, but of course we will check that out. By the way, these are the world champion Philadelphia A's coming after the New York Highlanders. They have that $100,000 infield. Thank you, Mark Schucker. New York Highlanders, I don't think they were very good. Babe Ruth was 14 years old this year. Actually, he was, yeah, actually he was 16 years old. Gehrig was 8. In fact, you know, Gehrig was from New York. His parents were immigrants from, I think, Germany, I'm not certain. And he remembered Ruth. As a kid, he remembered. Gehrig was born in 1903 and Ruth in 1895. So Ruth's first year, 1914. Even if you take his first, well, 1920 was an amazing year for Ruth. Gehrig was 17 years old. He went to Columbia University, I believe. And can you imagine what that would be like? Now, they didn't have close relationship, by the way. You know, Gehrig was a reserved individual. Whereas Ruth was very, very boisterous, you know. I don't think Gehrig really went for Ruth's exploits. Ruth's off the field. He sure didn't mind hitting after him, and I'm sure Ruth didn't mind hitting after before him. That's the way Ruth, you had to pitch to Ruth. Or you could just walk them both. What the hell? Here we go. We're looking for 25. We're going to count it for the New York Highlanders. It is 25. Let's make sure we got them. Seven. These will get worked in, just like the 69. 10. That's obvious. 12. 3, 24, 25. Those were two Phillies there. So there's your New York Highlanders, the fifth of, in alphabetical order, the fifth of 8 teams from the junior circuit, the American League. I don't go for the envelopes that some people use. They're very nice, but I like to use my teams. I like them out. You know, I like them accessible. I don't need an extra step to pull them out of an envelope. But for those who do, that's fine. You know. It's just like coffee, whatever you like. You like it fancy, fine. You like it black, that's fine. I used to have to have milk in my coffee. Then I shifted to enjoying my coffee black. And the past few years, I think the past 5 years, I've come back to wanting milk. I don't worry about half and half or anything like that. I mean, I have that's it, Ron McGrath. I have those two. I have 64 also. I'm not really into collecting. You know, some people are. And that's fine. I used to have a lot. I've lost mostly all of my possessions from when I was a kid and everything. In fact, I don't think I have much of anything. But what I do have is I sort of have shifted away from an emphasis on things to an emphasis on ideas in terms of what I enjoy. An emphasis on experiences. Now, you could argue, well, this is the thing. These cards. Well, yeah, sure, there are always exceptions, you know. But I got to tell you, the value of Strat O Matic. And some people say, oh, it's too expensive. It's not too expensive for me. I think it's priceless what Strat O Matic affords me. The enjoyment I've had, especially with all of you, especially Kathy Harden. Having it's just, one game can be worth $100. You know? Maybe not one. Look at Cy Morgan, 15-7. I don't think I've ever heard of him. This is going to be lots of fun. But I've been... Oh, there's Chief Bender. He's a good pitcher. 17-9. Oh, look at this guy's name. Topsy Hartzell. Topsy Hartzell. He only had 38 at bats. Well, that's a good sign. It shows that, you know, they use less players in those days. So, you know, we're getting just about everybody, and I have the nameless players. Now, let's check out the Phillies, who were the champions, with Connie Mack as manager. He refused to wear a uniform, and hence he was not allowed on the field. I believe his last season managing was 1950. Now, he was a former player. I think he owned the team. Okay, let's check out the A's. That's going to be 23 on this team. And again, that's going to be sufficient. Some have 25. I think some even have 26. And we got nameless players if we need them. So we're looking for 20. How many did I say? Did I say 23? Well, let's do it again. Yeah. Two. These folks are favorites to win it all. 3, 4. Amos Strunk. 5, 6. Here's Frank Home Run Baker. He had 11. But he had, I think, 3 or 4, I'm not sure how many in the World Series. And everyone went crazy on that. So there's your Philadelphia Athletics, who moved to Kansas City, moved to Oakland, and is planning to move to Vegas. Okay. Okay, we got 6 of 8. We're going to move to a real bad team, the St. Louis Browns. That can't be right. 17? Come on. Here's 9. Yeah, that's not right. 18. 26. Wow, 29. Holy shit. 29 players on this roster. That's 9, 18. Okay, let's just double check that if that's 29. Yeah, look at the size of that goddamn roster. Now, there's got to be, you see, compared to the other teams, there's got to be some pitchers who also have hitting cards. .29 players on that roster. That's amazing. That's the largest roster I've ever seen for any team in Strat O Matic. How about any of you? Have you ever heard of any that had that many players? Get some more coffee here. It's only 1 p.m., but you know, I'm feeling like I'm ready for weed, but I'll wait. Okay? I'll wait till 4, and I'll wait to play that game at 4. Give us plenty of time to set things up. The St. Louis Browns, that is a godforsaken team, historically. They won the pennant only 1 season, I believe, and I believe it was a war year. And that doesn't even frickin' count as far as I'm concerned. It was 1944. It was against the St. Louis Cardinals, and they lost. They eventually, as many of you know, moved to Baltimore. So some people think of them as a different team, the Orioles, but they are the old St. Louis Browns. Browns go back to the days of team names that were the colors, the blues, the browns, the reds, the grays, all sorts of things. We're going to get to the Washington Senators soon. And these Washington Senators, I think they were called, I'm not sure what they were called. I shouldn't get ahead of myself, but let me be checking here. I think they may have been called, yeah, they were called the Senators. And they were awful. And this was the original Washington Senators team. We'll get to that. I'll talk about that later. Well, I'll just say it now. They moved to Minnesota. Okay, that's the original team. The team in Minnesota that still exists was, I should say, the original Washington Senators with Walter Johnson. The Washington Senators of the 60s were an expansion team. They started in 61. They and the Los Angeles Angels. And then they moved to Texas. And that was after the 71 season, I believe. And then, of course, the Expos moved to Washington to become the Washington Nationals. Baseball's looking to expand with 4 more teams, 2 in each league. This is the scuttlebutt that I get. Now I'm talking real world. And I think Montreal, if they can get a stadium, that frickin' Olympic Stadium was the worst place I've ever seen baseball. And when I went to Montreal, somewhere in the early 90s, I went to 3 games. I went to Montreal for a week vacation. That's a godforsaken place. Awful. I hear Tampa Bay is pretty bad, especially some of their ground rules. The stadium. They're a good team now, huh? We're almost halfway done. We're almost completed here, the American League, and everything is checking out. We're looking at Brooklyn at Boston. That's a National League game. at 4 p.m. Eastern. I think we'll have plenty of time before that. Look at that, Bert Schotten. Better check him out because all these people, just to think they're all dead. I was thinking of, now this is 29 players. That's a big roster. I was thinking of like having a black player from my 69 or 64 season be drafted, like black players be drafted by each of these teams, but I think that would be mocking what happened. You know what I'm saying? And it would also be unrealistic. Let's make sure we got 29 Browns here. Look at that name. God. 18. There's some names you just never see today. That's 29. How do you like that? It's a big team. And our final team of the Washington Senators. There's only 8 teams. I love that. You know, no playoffs. 8 is decent. You know, we can still have a good race. Okay, the Washington Senators now. And this is me with Walter Johnson. It wasn't his best year, but he was still great. This will be 25. Actually, we'll have to see how good he is. Johnson was 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 it is. The one and only season that these original Washington Senators won a World Series, I don't know about pennant, was in 24. And that's already the modern era. And it's the non-dead ball era. They were not. Look at this name, Long Tom Hughes. Okay, there's Long Tom. These are the Washington Senators. Get into a groove here, enjoy it. This is all part of the process, people, and I appreciate all of your companionship here. I'm serious, because I lead a very, very troubled life. Nothing dangerous per se, but general anxiety, depression, worry, chronic worry, that goes with the anxiety. And I like to keep busy. And who would have thought that I would be playing not one, but 2. One alone would be something. But 2 replays with broadcasts of each game, each and every game, not just sometimes, on YouTube. Yeah, here's Tom Long. And then you have Long Tom Hughes. What the hell? I'll look for that. Yeah, Christ. We're looking for 25 senators here. And, the president was Howard Taft, a Republican. The Republican Party back then was the Progressive Party. Taft was a supporter of, or I should say, I don't know how it worked, but Teddy Roosevelt was a supporter, but then Taft went ahead and beat him. TR, I like to think about the history. Well, here are the Boston Rustlers, by the way. We'll be doing them first for the National League. Jay Kirk, George Jackson, Doc Miller. We'll get to them in a minute. But Taft was president. We've been through a lot. We've already been through the Civil War, Reconstruction, still going, you could argue. The assassination of McKinley, in 1881, and the Republican Party, TR taking over, vowing he made a big mistake when he became vice president and started to run for his own term. He made a commitment not to run for a second term, to show that he was not corrupt, that he would do what's right, but he lived to regret that. Let's get the senators going here. 25. Dolly Gray. Whew. 16. Here's Walter Johnson. That's 25. Yeah, you got a Long Tom Hughes, a pitcher. And Tom Long. Can't be the same person. Different names. So there are your Washington Senators, and there is your American League. All 8 players, all 8 teams, all accounted for. And that took not much more than an hour. Here is the junior circuit, the American League. And we will put these boys where they belong as we're doing 2 replays. We could go like this. Put the 2 of them here, because this is just so high that you want to put that. You could put it here, but I'd rather not. So there's the American League. We're actually going to put them second because they are the junior circuit as far as I'm concerned. I was always an NL man. Did you know that? We're going to get to the National League now. These are the Boston Rustlers. And I'm going to take a little break here. I'm having a very enjoyable time. We'll flip this over. I just want to see something here. Okay. Here's the National League. And we'll get back to this. In due course. Okay. We will get back to this in due course. Oh, I'm having too much goddamn fun. You know that? I'm having too much goddamn fun. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it nice when the tumblers connect and in unison and things go right? I'll be back, folks, in about 3 to 5 minutes. I'll be back. Yes. Can you believe this thing was delivered 2 minutes before its estimated time of delivery? It was before 12 noon, and it came 11:58, so they were right. I'll be back. And folks, make sure if you do use Twitter, you follow me on Twitter, because I'm going to be posting a lot of historical photos, including today's game. I'll be right back. I expect that when I finish this up, which should be somewhere after 2 o'clock, 2:30 maybe, I'm gonna go get something to eat and then maybe catch a little shut-eye, and then 4 p.m. In fact, let me reschedule the game to 4 p.m. Brooklyn at Boston. Schedule that for today. At 4. And then I have my tweets all set. I'll give you a sneak preview right now. This might not be easy to see, but on TweetDeck for Twitter, TweetDeck is a, I guess you call it an application or something. You can time your tweets. Oh, shit. What the hell happened here? Oh. Okay. Christ. This one is timed to go off. And if you look at this, this is absolutely remarkable. That's Zach Wheat. But this is a picture of the stadium where the Boston Rustlers played. This is in the public domain. Okay. And that could be Zach Wheat right there. I don't know for sure, but he was a left fielder. Bill Clem, K-L-E-M, Bill Clem is probably the most famous manager in baseball history, and umpire, Bill Clem, and he was an umpire in this game, by the way. I looked at that. So we're just gonna reschedule that tweet for today. Oops. Here it goes. We'll put that today at 4 p.m. And there it goes. And there it is. That's beautiful. That's all set. And then if I deviate from from any of that, of course I'll change it, unless I die between now and then, which is highly unlikely. Let's get back to our work here. We're starting the National League now. These are the Boston Rustlers who will play Brooklyn. today. Let's get some coffee here. It's amazing how much coffee you can go through, huh? Oh, God. This is the last cup. What I find is that if I get in a pinch, I can have some ginger ale later before 4 o'clock. You know, you go back to this era, 1911, and these these players are all gone. They were alive. That was a whole era back then, and they knew nothing of what we are today. Most of them were bigots. I know that's a lot to say, a big statement. But you'd be surprised. The worst of all was Cap Anson, who I think he was an owner of a team. Of course, we know he was a player. And he was instrumental in setting up the exclusion of non-white players. John McGraw once got a black player on his roster and tried to pass him off as Native American. Can you believe it? For the Giants? Okay. Let's see what we got here for Brooklyn now. Where the hell are the Boston Rustlers? Wait a minute. Oh, look at me. How crazy I am. I went ahead and did Brooklyn. Oh, Brooklyn's here. This is Boston. Okay. "30 players on their team." Oh, you know about him, Kathy. Boy, you know your baseball history. 30 players on the Red Sox. The Rustlers, these are the National League. Eventually became the Boston Braves. Look at that lefty Tyler. Yeah, I mean that's Cap Anson's legacy. Not that he was I don't even know if he made the Hall of Fame. I guess he did. And that's very important to me. Respect for and acceptance and even embracing of diversity, for Christ's sakes. 30 Boston Rustlers. See, that's the kind of roster I would want for every team. And these people were working people. They were middle class. The salaries they made were very, very, except for, some of them, like Cobb, the great players. And even they were underpaid. when you think about that there was a reserve clause that was eventually found to be unconstitutional. It's like a monopoly. You know what I mean? If we sign you or we draft you, you can only play for us and for what we're willing to pay you. That's not capitalism. That's not free market. Sure, do I have issues with free agency and the cost of baseball today? Sure I do. But that doesn't get away from the fact that the reserve clause was unconstitutional. And thanks to Curt Flood, who never at all got a chance to, boy, that's a lot of players. That's 30 players there for the Boston Rustlers. I'll count them in a moment. Oh, that's good coffee, and it's the last one I got. Let's count these out. Hank Gowdy. Jesus. He was traded to the Rustlers, Cy Young. That's why he's got 2 cards there. He'll also be on Cleveland. 27, Big Jeff Pfeffer. There we go, that's 30. And you don't have to worry the way I do it. I don't have to worry about when to use him or anything like that. I just follow the schedule. We're going to go move now to Brooklyn. That's 28. That's going to be 9, 18, 27, and 28. There it is. Quite easy to do this. Easier than when I got the 69 set. I guess I have some practice now. Here's the pitcher for the starting for Brooklyn today, Cy Barger. Oh, wait a minute. He's got a hitting card also. Jesus. I didn't realize that. I'll find the guy. These are the Brooklyn, you could call them the Trolley Dodgers. And I just read it yesterday that it's a myth that it's because of trolleys. It has something to do, go look it up. They thought it was because of everyday citizens who had to dodge the trolleys, which was true, but that's not where they got the name. It was something else. Funny how myths get perpetuated. Kitty Bransfield for the Cubs. God. I just learned, or maybe I'm reminded, that Frank Chance, the first baseman for the Cubs, was a player manager. Take all this stuff nice and slow. Elmer Netzer. I mean, how many Elmers do you know today? You know, names go in and out of fashion. It was a tough time to live compared to today. People died of diseases. It was not uncommon for someone to die of tuberculosis. Lots of people would catch tuberculosis, get sick, and die. This is Cy Barger, the hitter. But if I'm not mistaken, he's pitching later. Some of these teams go back into the 1880s or earlier in terms of their origins. You had, I don't know a lot about it, but you had things like the American Association, and then there was rivalries. The leagues were threatening to raid each other of their rosters, of some of their players, by offering them more money, and eventually they reached some sort of peace by 1903 when you had the two leagues. And here's Zach Wheat. He's playing today. Kind of early in his career, but he was a good ball player. There should be 28 players. The second of 8 in the National League. The Brooklyn Trolley Dodgers. 6, 7, 8. 10, 11. 15, There it is. And here are the two cards of Cy Barger. Isn't that something? He wasn't that good a hitter, but he played enough when he wasn't pitching. Wasn't that good a pitcher either, but he did start 30 games. But played enough in right, left, and first base. Can you imagine to have two cards there? Now, if we get disconnected due to overheating, I'll figure out something. I'll resume it. I'll mention something on the community board. So there are the Brooklyn Dodgers. We move now to the Chicago Cubs. This was so long ago, they didn't play in Wrigley. I don't remember the name. They have 26. They were called the Hitless Wonders. Great fielding, Tinkers to Evers to Chance. You remember in the infield? Tinkers at short, Evers at second. And player manager Frank Chance at first. They had a great double play combo there. There's Joe Tinker. Look at this, Wilbur Good. Not Wilbur Wood, Wilbur Good. And I looked him up. And he existed. He fucking existed. They're nicely perforated, makes it easy to get through these. These are the Chicago Cubs. So, yeah, I was very depressed back in the early 90s. And I just didn't have the patience to do what we're doing now, so I must be doing somewhat better. That's when I got the set back then. Okay. There it is, 26. Our next team will be the Cincinnati Reds. Some consider them to be the oldest of the active teams. That they go back, they were the Redlegs. They go back to 1869, maybe further back. And what's great is, by the way, the Strat O Matic says that they examine not only statistics but box scores from this season. There's Peaches Graham. Never heard of him. And there's Frank Chance. He only hit, oh my God, he didn't play much. How could that be? Okay. Lord. I bet you Tinkers and Evers did. You know, they won, I think the Cubs won the pennant in 1908. I don't remember exactly. At least 1908. Maybe he was hurt this year. Here's Johnny Evers. He didn't play much. God. That's unusual. Solly Hoffman. Jesus. This is the second Zimmerman I wonder if they're Jewish. I'm Jewish, I'm not making any snide remarks, but there's just not many of them. There's Joe Tinker. Now, he played a full season, hit 276. Played shortstop, he's a 1. We're going to get to the Reds. I know there's a Heine Groh, Groh, or something like that on Cincinnati. I'm not sure if I know anybody else. Let's give these a count. There it is, 26 for the Chicago Cubs. And now we'll move to Cincinnati. That's 3 of 8 in the senior circuit, the National League. Here's Cincinnati now. They have a smaller roster than most teams. $24. That's going to be 9, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And then we're going to go to the New York Giants. It was really something, New York having 3 teams. Now, you could look at California, which is much larger today. Has, Christ, how many teams does California have? Let me see. They got 1, 2, 3. 3 in the NL, right? And we got the Angels and in Oakland. Yeah. Yeah. They got, I think it's 5. But they're not as close. You do have the Dodgers and the Angels are close. The Giants and the A's are close. Padres are in San Diego. This was a time when there were 3 teams in the New York area. You got to realize St. Louis was the furthest west team. And we'll be doing the Giants next. And you really were a fan of only one of the teams. My father was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. My mother was a New York Yankee fan. And then you had Giant fans. The Dodgers were sort of the working man's or working woman's team. They called them the Bums. They played in Ebbets Field. The Yankees were they played in a frickin' almost like a Coliseum type stadium. And the Giants played in Polo Field, so that was that's Harlem, near Coogan's Bluff. That was a big stadium, but it was a very bizarre stadium. You could spit over left field wall, 257, I believe. And dead center field was like, 460 something feet. I think it was 461. I don't know what it was originally made for. If it was made for polo, it's shaped like a polo field. And even the Mets played there for the first 2 seasons of their franchise while they were building Shea. And it all comes back to Robert Moses, who I forgot his position, but he was instrumental in designing the '64 World's Fair, the bridges, and he absolutely refused to allow the Dodgers to move out to Queens. Or give them a new stadium or something. So I think it was Branch Rickey who decided he was going to move them to LA, and he got with the owner of the New York Giants and said, will you come along? That way we could do this. And they did it. And what a heartbreak it was. The Yankee fans were okay. Their team was still there. Let's count these Reds here before we go to the Giants. 3. Look at that name. Whoa. 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 20. Well, it's 24. I don't see Heine Groh on this team. Maybe he was a different era. But that is the Cincinnati Reds, and that will be half of the National League now. We'll move to the Giants now. They won the pennant, the Giants. They have Rube Marquard, Christy Mathewson. I mean, these were pitchers. They had Fred Snodgrass in the outfield. They have only 22 players. Again, we have nameless players. But most of these teams are well fortified in their rosters. That's going to be 9, 18, 19, 20, 21, and then this would be 22 right there. Game time is in 2 hours. Brooklyn Dodgers, Trolley Dodgers at the Boston Rustlers. That'll be a sort of a very, very Twilight Zone kind of thing for me. Smoking weed, going back in time. God, the Phillies. Can you believe that they were bad? Interesting to think about how far they go back, the Phillies. Look at that. There's Christy Mathewson. 26 and 13, 1.99 ERA. Strikeout ratio is only about, 4.5 per 9 innings. He was, he is what really got women to the park. Seriously, I heard about this. He was considered very attractive, and women used to love to come out to the ballpark and see Christie. He was also considered a real gentleman, a real wonderful human being. And of course, John McGraw was the manager, and he was a guy, an Irishman, a real tough guy, and he met with Connie Mack at the World Series. It was a battle between these two great clubs. Oh, here's Fred Merkel. You've heard of his boner, right? Merkel's boner. I don't know what year that was. Look at him, he's good. AA. 48 stoners, stolen. Here's Fred Snodgrass. It will be surreal, Kathy Harden. And, Kathy, I appreciate you hanging out. I feel a little guilty sometimes. I don't know if it's obligatory. I shouldn't even mention it. But look, you're here. You do what you want to do. But I'm just so glad to have you here. So here is the 5th of 8, the New York Giants. Look at Rube Marquardt, 24 and 7. It's 11. 14. Look at this name. Christ. 15, 16, 17. There it is. Chief Myers. He was good. Good catcher. There they are. Now we move to the Philadelphia Phillies. We have 3 more teams to go. They have 25. And again, if we get disconnected, always look on the community board to see what's happening. Wow, Honus Wagner, God. He didn't have one of his best years. He only hit 334. He did have 9 home runs. He's on the Pirates. We'll get to them. I'm gonna keep the crowd noise off now. God, I don't know why they have this. Oh, okay. Here it is. '23 on this team. Toots Schultz. He had an 0-3 record, 9.38 ERA. 3 starts. I'm supposed to start this guy? Jesus. 0-3, 9.38. Jesus.